It's safe to say that AI is all the rage at the minute, so let's ask AI what the best stocks to buy are. Now, this might seem like one of those things where you don't think I'm going to get an answer at all, but you'll be surprised if you watch all the way through this video, because we were in a way able to get something out of AI, which I found a little bit surprising. But let's get on with this one, talking about what we found. So, we're going to talk about the commands that I put in to find this information, and then go through it in a bit more detail. So, I started out with the most obvious one, best stocks to buy. This is in ChatGPT. Now, I got what you might expect. I am not a financial advisor and cannot provide any specific stock recommendations. Investing carries risks and all of the rest of it that you'd expect from this. But I didn't leave it there. I wanted to see a little bit more. So I went on to say, can you give me some examples? And then it gave me the basic examples, as you might expect. So it's examples of different stocks and factors to consider when evaluating them. Things like investing in blue chip stocks, growth stocks, value stocks, dividend stocks, small and mid cap stocks, cyclical, defense, tech, environmental, social and governance, amongst others. But this is of course just basic information. We want to get some names out of this AI. So how are we going to do this? So then I started to add in different questions. If we could sort of bend the question a little bit, we might be able to get some more interesting answers out of the algorithm. And that's what started to happen. So I said, look for some specific characteristics. And it says, certainly, when evaluating stocks, there are some specific characteristics and factors to consider. Here are some key characteristics to keep in mind. So it speaks about financial health, earnings growth, dividends, valuation metrics, competitive position, industry trends, management teams, market capitalization, risk tolerance, diversification, sustainability and ESG factors, regulatory environment, market sentiment, long-term goals, and of course, research and due diligence. So we're starting to get a little bit of something, but this is how to invest. And to be honest, these are just the basics. These are the things that we all think through when we're looking to make our more long-term investments. It's not telling us what stocks AI would look into though. So I said, can you give me specific numbers and ratios? And it goes, certainly, when evaluating stocks, these are some of the things to consider. It talks about price to earnings ratio, comparing the way that a company is moving, of course. It's talking about price to sales too, price to book, dividend yield, earnings per share, return of equity, debt to equity ratio, current ratio, amongst growth rates as well, operating margin, free cash value, beta, and price, and analyst recommendations, amongst other factors. But you see what's happening here. We start to get a little bit more detail. And then I started to ask, well, what companies have examples of this? And it says, I can provide companies that give specific characteristics. Now, this was updated in January 2022. I think this is actually very important, and the AI itself does note that. But I wanted to get some names out of it. I wondered if that was going to be possible. And we did start to get some, funnily enough. Again, we had to ask many different questions to even get to this point, and this video has been short enough as it is. If I want to make this video in full depth, which I will do at some point in the future, I'll speak about how many command prompts you have to put in a way to kind of get to this point, because this is only just a small introduction, and it names some big companies that everybody's heard of. So it speaks about low P to E ratio value stocks. It gives examples such as ExxonMobil and the figures that we saw for that in January 2022. Then it gives high PE ratio stocks such as Amazon. Then it gives high dividend yield stocks such as AT&T. Strong ROE and profitability, that was Apple. Low debt to equity ratio, Johnson & Johnson, interestingly enough. Consistent dividend growth, that's Coca-Cola. High growth rates in tech stocks, Nvidia. Sustainable ESG and focused ESG stocks, Tesla was an example of that. Large mid-cap stocks, is Microsoft. Cyclical stocks was Ford Motor Company. Defense stocks was the Procter & Gamble Company. And it says at the end of this, these are just examples. So then I asked another question. Are these actually good stocks to buy? Now, of course, the way that the AI is programmed, it's not going to get itself in trouble when it comes to, giving out advice, because it is not a financial advisor, but we were able to get a little bit more information about it. But it just gives a general, think about your investment goals, risk tolerance, diversification, research and analysis, market conditions, and other factors that you'd generally consider when thinking about investing in stocks. But I do find it interesting that, just in this small dialogue, we were able to get the AI to mention some names. Now, I will agree with the AI on the point that the names that it does mention, it notes that a lot of these were taken in January of 2022. So basically a full year, in fact, almost 2 years ago. So it would not be fair or probably, sensible really to think about these, but it did actually give some names out there. So this video was more of an experiment than anything else, and it's not really something that I've done on this channel before. I'm not saying that these are good companies. I just wanted to see if we could get some names out of AI, specifically ChatGPT, and it looks like we actually could. So I'm surprised by that. I'd like to make this video in a lot more detail. I just wanted to share this quickly to display my findings with you guys, so I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in our next one. Goodbye for now though.